Hi everyone. If you're new here, welcome. If you are returning, what's going on, guys? So I have been MIA for a little bit and I just want to apologize and thank you for your patience in advance. I have been doing a summer art program over in Jersey City. It's the first time that I'm doing that and I'm managing it and facilitating it at the same time. So it's a little bit of a learning curve, and it's been taking a little bit more of my attention. So we're going to be doing a general collective reading for today, but again, I just wanted to let you know what was going on. I don't really like kind of falling off the face of the earth about any explanation. So we're going to be doing a general reading for today using our Golden Art Nouveau deck by Julia Massaglia. And we're just going to see what messages we need to hear for today. So we are going to start off by cleansing our deck with the sound cleansing. So let's do that. So beautiful. I hope your day is going well. And if it's not, I hope that it is better by the end of this. Okay. So let's quickly call upon our ancestors closest to the sun, our angels, our spirit guides, anyone who helps us to feel divinely protected in this moment. Any negativity, monitoring spirits, evil eye are not welcome here. You don't got to go home, but you can't stay here, okay? If negativity is sent our way, that gets transmuted into peace, power, prosperity, abundance, and all the good things, okay? So let's see what messages we have to hear for today. Let's see, what do we got? Okay, so we got the moon. Okay, so when it comes to the moon, since this is a major arcana card, I want to read the energy and the symbolism here. So immediately off the bat, what I'm picking up from this card is someone is okay. Now, again, with every single reading, if it resonates, take what resonates, and if it doesn't, take everything with a grain of salt. Okay. So immediately, I'm picking up on someone who's not. Okay. This person is fighting their intuition. Okay. So the moon has to do with our like subconscious a little bit, our intuition, something that is not readily available. So with the sun card, it's the opposite, right? So when it comes to the sun, we are outgoing, we are prioritizing joy, we're prioritizing optimism, positivity, and it's one of the most positive cards in the deck. So when it comes to the moon, this is telling me that someone is reflecting on not negativity, but you're reflecting on past decisions where you didn't listen to your intuition. Okay. So something that I'm also picking up here, so I couldn't help but notice the imagery here. So it's the moon, but the sun is in the background, right? So this might be someone who's letting their like the thinking traps that we all have kind of run the show a little bit. So this could be someone who is heavily reflecting. I don't know why, but this is making me feel like you are at odds with yourself. Okay. And I'm looking at these two wolves. So when I looked at the wolves, it makes me feel like someone who feels like they have to like wear a mask and that is what is kind of in the background for you, right? Like you might feel like you haven't been able to like listen to your intuition because you have to like wear a mask. Almost kind of like this makes me feel like you might have been in an environment where individuals were like having you question your intuition and you're almost like fighting against yourself. Okay. So this could be that you are like in hiding, if you will. I don't know why, but like in my mind, the term was like you're like spiritually in the closet, if you will. So you know that you have very good intuition, but it's almost like you're acting against your better judgment, it feels like. Okay. So I'm gonna ask for a clarifying card. So this might be for a Cancer. So if your zodiac sign is like a Cancer, this might be for a Cancer. It could also be like just general water signs. Give me a second. Let's pull a clarifying card. What's going on that this person feels like they are fighting against their intuition? Why are you fighting against your intuition? Who's this for? Who? Who? Okay. We've got the Justice card. We've got the Justice card. So we got two major arcanas out here. Okay, so like that you might have Libra in your like top three. But you could also have this in another one of your houses. Like let's say with maybe like Neptune or Uranus, you might have a Libra placement in there as well, because this is what's not readily illuminated. Okay. So this could be someone who feels like something's not fair. So whoever this is for, like the energy that I'm getting in this major arcana card is you feel like something isn't fair, or you feel like something like there's outside circumstances that are limiting the level of fairness in this particular situation. So looking at the symbolism here, this makes me feel like you've had to put up very strong boundaries because I'm looking at the sword here, right? And again, if we're going back to the moon, right? You feel like you have been trying to express your authentic self, maybe even like spiritually or like what you believe in, and you feel like you're getting pushback or you're almost being like judged a little bit, and that's why you have this like mental boundary up. So this makes me feel like you don't feel emotionally safe in this moment. And then this justice card is basically asking you to like find the balance between who is safe to share your full self with. And then also with this justice card, I think you've been navigating kind of like a sense of indifference or detachment from whatever it was that you feel like you had to kind of like hide yourself from, right? So, because it's the moon card that was the first pick, this makes me feel like emotionally you've had to kind of like withdraw a little bit. And that could be with anything, right? So, that could have been like you had your hopes up for a particular job, you had your hopes up for a relationship, partnership, friendship, whatever, right? And you almost feel like you had to like hide yourself, or maybe you were feeling overwhelmed emotionally. So you're like, I gotta like reflect inward. I gotta kind of take a step back, right? And then with the justice card, right? This makes me also feel like you haven't been doing justice to yourself, right? So maybe you have been imbalanced in certain areas of your life, right? So what I mean by that is let's say like you're prioritizing family right now. So you're prioritizing family, but that means that you have to kind of like take a step back from friends, work, your passion projects, right? So it could be that you're trying very hard to like find what fair means to you, right? So this goes back to our decision making. Um, hold on here. This also makes me feel like something happened where there wasn't mutual effort. I don't know why, but I'm getting like mutual effort here. And because the balance is like kind of like tipping more so on one end, you're feeling like at this stage of your life, like you need a reciprocity and you're not getting that. So this card, the Justice card, is basically asking you to focus your attention on where there is reciprocity and like mutual give and take, right? So something feels unfair to you. Again, might be circumstances, could be life, but this is like making me feel like this has to do with like a friendship, relationship, because it has to do with feelings as well. And you just might not feel comfortable to like reveal your true feelings right now in this particular situation. This might not be romantic, but there's like a wave of potential romance there, right? So this also kind of makes me feel like your defenses are up, and that's also why you have the Justice card here, right? It's almost kind of like you have that mental or emotional boundary up to protect yourself. Let me get a clarifying card real quick. Hold on. So this could be for someone who has Cancer placements. This could be someone who's got Libra. Again, maybe in your top three. But based off of the Moon card, I feel like it might be like you might have Libra in like your Neptune or Uranus. Let's see. We're going to determine based off this clarifying card. Let's see what happens. Okay, just kidding. That answered my question real quick. So, Two of Cups. So when I said that there was like romantic energy, right? So this could be like a potential partnership. Oh, that made me feel sad. Damn. Okay, so this was kind of like the potential for a relationship, but somewhere it was imbalanced. There might not have been like a mutual give and take, and you might not have been honest with your feelings towards this person. Hold on here, because I'm also seeing like the line here, right? So we always read the energy and the symbolism of the card. So like what my eye goes towards first is usually what I'm intuitively guided to talk about, right? So immediately I came here. So this could have been someone who has like Leo placements also in your top three. Maybe even Venus, like Leo Venus, right? So this made me sad. Damn. Okay, so whoever this is for, like you're a trooper, hang in there. Okay. So this is kind of like the love that didn't get a chance to bloom. Okay, now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. So there's a song that's called Almost Lover. I'm gonna see if I can put it in the description, but this is basically kind of like a summertime romance, like a summertime fling or something like that. And this basically was like something happened where there was an imbalance or like kind of like a judgment call, if you will, and the boundary kicked in and you actually got cut out. You got cut out. So this could have been because you didn't know how you felt about the connection. And because you didn't like know or know, like you were reflecting and you were kind of like iffy about it, you basically were like, I'm not going to be watering anything that's not watering me, right? Like I'm not pouring my energy into something that's not reciprocated. And this was a potential relationship that just didn't pan out. It sizzled out, if you will, right? Now here's the thing, because this is in the future position. So this could be potential for like revisiting, but but you have to be really honest with what fairness looks like for both of you. Okay. So again, when it comes to this connection, this isn't like hopeless, right? It's not like it's done forever, but it's fizzled out, right? So I'm gonna do bottom of the deck energy real quick. So that's like the subconscious motivator for this reading. And then that'll kind of give us a picture of like what's not being said out outside the framework of these cards. Okay. Oh, we got the Hierophant. We got a lot of major arcana right now. Okay. So because this is a shadow card, this could be that subconsciously you might be someone who like very much values traditionalism. Okay. So this could have been like how you were raised, where you're like, you really like rules, like you really like structure, and it's worked for you, right? Or this is like what you believe is supposed to work. And fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you're looking at it, right? This was not a conventional relationship, right? So this wasn't like, let's date, let's get married, let's have kids, right? Like this was like, hey, like I don't believe in marriage or like I don't believe in monogamy. This could have been something where like again, like this is a intuitive card. So you were fighting against your intuition that again, you actually might really value traditionalism and you were trying to be something that you weren't, right? So, because you are not listening to your intuition, like this could have been like somebody who was like, yeah, like you're the only one for me, or like I'm not talking to anybody else. And that was not the full truth, right? So, because that was not the full truth, you made a judgment call and you're like, this doesn't really feel quite fair. Like I'm giving more than I'm getting, so I gotta cut this out, right? Like I'm calling justice on this. I'm not doing justice to myself, so I gotta take a step back. And then also, because this was a potential relationship, it fizzled out because someone somewhere really liked traditionalism and they weren't getting it, right? And then something else with this Two of Cups. This is kind of like a potential for lovers card, right? So this could have just been like two individuals that were not like inherently like compatible right now, right? And I'm gonna pull one more clarifying card because this makes me feel like there was like a what's that? Someone's calling me. Let's see. This made me feel like there was outside circumstances that were at play here. So let's see what that looks like. So, what was the reason this fizzled out? This summertime romance. Let's see. What was the reason? Let's see. Ooh, hold up. Okay. All right. So we got the Ace of Cups here. Okay. So looking at the energy and the symbolism here, so this fizzled out because someone didn't want to take that initial step when it came to an emotional opportunity involving this dynamic. Okay. So this makes me feel like someone's been burned one too many times. They didn't have their heart open for the relationship, and maybe they just weren't ready, right? Like it happens. Like sometimes, like people got things going on, like the timing's not right. There's a saying, right person, wrong time is still wrong person, right? So one of these individuals was not emotionally available. They're just not emotionally available, right? And like that's not a bad thing. It just means that you're not in a position to give someone the best version of yourself because you you can't. Either you can't or you're choosing not to, right? So this fizzled out because someone might not believe in the emotional start, right? So what I mean by like emotional start, like this could just be someone who like doesn't have an interest in relationships right now. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like depending on like what the circumstances were, like you just didn't give it a chance, right? And nothing wrong with that, but something to consider there. Okay. So tying all this together, the moon card makes me feel like you are not being 100% honest with yourself, or you are actively fighting your intuition involving this connection. Could have been like you were not really like compatible, and you were trying to kind of like fit a square peg into a round hole. You were giving more than you were getting, so you had to make that judgment call. And you're basically just like, yeah, if it doesn't feel balanced, like I'm good, right? Nothing wrong with that. And then because this is a Two of Cups situation, this had potential to be a romantic connection, but it sizzled out. It sizzled out. Um, and something else that I'm looking at here, this again, this is not like a hopeless, like it's never gonna happen, but this is a not for now type of reading, right? And then what caused this to fizzle out? You didn't take the emotional opportunity, right? You didn't take it. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. In terms of the shadow card, because we got the Hierophant, you could be someone who is traditional, and this could have been a unconventional relationship. You didn't know how to navigate it, or maybe you just didn't want to navigate it, right? Nothing wrong with that. So let's see. Let me pull one more card for this person in terms of like the collective. So what should you be focusing on in the meantime? Okay, because again, like this isn't a hard no, but it's basically just like there wasn't meant to be right now. Okay. So what should you focus on instead? Let's see. Ooh, okay. All right, so we got the Knight of Coins, okay? So your focus needs to be on slowing down and being very intentional with what it is that you want. So if you want a relationship, what does that look like? Right? And like really slowing down and being intentional with your values in a partner, non-negotiables, things that you're flexible with, right? If you want financial stability, right? Slowing down and looking into what it is that you want as a dream career, right? So if you want financial stability, naturally, how do you get more money, right? Like you could do a training, you could do like a certificate, you might want to go back to school, you might have a apprenticeship that you're interested in, right? So this is actually kind of like a slow it down and then also planning. This could be financial planning, right? So, what you should focus on is making sure that you're in a position where you feel safe enough, again, whether it's financially, coins is the earthly realm, right? Where you feel grounded enough to even like navigate like friendships, relationships, business partnerships, whatever, right? So, this is what you need to be focusing on. And this is like one of the, not the slowest, but like this is a knight who takes their time, right? This is like a slow burn action card, right? Really slowing it down and being intentional. So what you need to be focusing on is just slowing down, going going inward, right? What is it that you want? What is it that your intuition is telling you, right? And then pairing that with action in the earthly realm. Okay, so this is what we need to be focusing on. How are we going to get our immediate environment where we want it to be so that we can be intentional with adding someone who adds value to your life, right? So in terms of the Knight of Coins, right? This could also be someone who has like Taurus placements. This could be someone who's got like Virgo or also like maybe Capricorn placements. So you might actually benefit from talking to someone who is like grounded, right? Like you might need to speak to someone who can help you ground. Okay. So this is what we need to be focusing on in the meantime. Okay. So if we look at all of our cards combined, you weren't listening to your intuition somewhere, right? So you kind of like missed the mark or you're like actively fighting it. You're almost kind of trying like, nah, like this can work somehow. Like even though we want inherently different things, like we can do it. And because you try to convince yourself, you felt like it was unfair and you're like, this is not really like a balance right now. So I gotta make my leave. You made a judgment call. You're like, yeah, nope, boundaries. I gotta take a step back. And then this was a potential relationship that fizzled out, right? and nothing wrong with that, but like this is not meant to happen right now. Okay. So nothing wrong with this not happening right now, but I would want you to really turn inward. And what was it that would have felt fair, right? What was it that would have felt more in alignment and more balanced? And then also, the Two of Cups doesn't always have to be romantic. Like, you might not make a great romantic partnership, but you could be like amazing friends or like a business partner, right? And then with everything, like, you want to make sure that like you can be friends with someone first if you want to have that relationship, right? Because how many times do you get into a relationship and then you don't really know them, and then like as you like know them further down the line, you're just like, I don't even like you as a person, bro. Like, what? So this is something to think about. Being very intentional, listening to your intuition, and also like making sure that you find the balance there. This doesn't mean like it's hopeless, it can never happen. But this is basically saying like in order for you to navigate a relationship, you have to be on the same page in a lot of different areas, right? So that fizzled out because you just didn't take the opportunity. You don't want the emotional opportunity, you didn't take it, that's okay, right? Maybe you're a little bit jaded, you don't really believe in love right now. It is what it is, right? Like I think everyone's been burned. But what you need to focus on is taking your time. So again, if we're coming from it involving like this relationship, partnership, friendship, taking your time getting to know someone, right? And then this could also be just like prioritizing yourself, right? And making sure that you're grounded, that you feel stable enough to add to someone else's life and vice versa, right? So I think that's about it. But again, this could have been someone who's got Cancer placements, Libra placements, a little bit of Leo. There's like heavy water energy here, which makes sense because there's a lot of like emotions tied to this. With the Knight of Coins, that could be someone who's got Earth placements as well. And then that's kind of confirmed involving like the subconscious, the shadow card based off of our Hierophant. And the Hierophant usually has to do with someone who has a Taurus placement. Okay. So based off of that, I'm going to give you a little bit more information in the description. But if you liked that, let me know. I'm always open for feedback. And then I hope you have a amazing rest of your night or day whenever you're watching this. And as always, you are divinely protected, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.